Good morning, friends. How are you today? It is Tuesday, and today we are going to be putting down the Bio360 on the eastern beds. So the Bio360 arrived yesterday, which is great. I had hoped to get out and work yesterday, but overnight, Sunday to Monday night, I had like a lot of pain and coughing in my chest, like I was coming down with something, and it was worse when I got up Monday morning, so I thought, oh, I better stay in. So I stayed in, I drank tea and ate soup all day, and I'm much better today. So this is Bio360. It is a cornstarch-based bioplastic that completely decomposes in your soil within 4 to 6 months, depending on where you live and the conditions. This one is a white on black version. So if you're planting in the summertime, anytime temperature is going to be above 85 degrees, you'll want to put the white facing up because that will reflect the heat. The black facing up over the winter time will help heat the soil and help with root development in your plants. Now, I've spoken before about this. I used this my first year flower farming, and I don't know, I had mixed feelings about it. One, there was nothing wrong. I mean, nothing wrong with the product itself. It's fine, and it does biodegrade. I am a no-till farm, and so I don't till it into my soil at the end, so I ended up pulling it up. I mean, it definitely was much more degraded when I did pull it up. Came up in little clumps as opposed to like a big sheet. And it's easy to plant through because it's very thin. So you just poke a hole. I'm going to use my dibbler, poke a hole where I want to put stuff. You'll need to put it over top of your irrigation because it's not permeable. So the water won't go through, except the holes, you know, where you've got your plants. So I kind of found that to be a problem because I had some rodent activity under the plastic, and so it was hard to kind of manage that, and I'm sure I'll run into that here. So I'd always decided, I'm just not going to use it again. But in this case, where the grass growth is so intense, the weed growth is so intense in these beds, I'm definitely going to use it because I need to be able to grow this stuff without battling these weeds like crazy. And in fact, I'm going to have to come through here over the next couple of days in between the rains and like hand pick this grass because the hoe is just kind of laying it down. It's not even really cutting it, even though I've sharpened my hoe really well. And the hoe ends up pulling up the seedlings because they're still really small. The grass at this point is almost bigger than the seedlings. So I'm literally going to have to hand weed these beds, and I'll show you how bad they look in just a minute. It looks like I'm growing a golf course at this point. So today's project is to put this down on all of the eastern beds that haven't been planted yet. I also first need to go through and hammer in all of the earth staples that are holding down the irrigation because some of them were just too hard to push through. I kind of hoped that it would rain first before I had to do that so they would be easier to hammer into the ground, but we haven't gotten rain yet. So, and this project needs to get done. So I'm gonna attach the earth staples and then put this down. The best way to do this is a way that's going to be really challenging for me in that you lay it down. It's easier with 2 people because it's very light and floaty, and there's a very light breeze today, so I'll be struggling with it a bit. But in general, the best way is to cover all the ends with soil. So from your pathways, etc. I don't really have that option here because my pathways have already been scooped out to put on top of the beds before I put compost there. And I'm definitely not going to waste compost putting it in the aisles to hold this stuff down. So I probably will have to use earth staples, which kind of stinks because again, they don't go all the way into the ground yet because it's too hard. And that allows for more holes, which means more weeds. But we're going to do the best we can do. I think I might be able to use some soil on the ends, on the outside beds, because those side paths have not yet been totally cleared. So we'll just see what we can do to make it work. These are 4 feet wide by 50 foot long pieces. I've got a bunch of them. And my beds are only 40 feet long, so that's great. I'm gonna have 10 extra feet from each package, and I'm going to use that in the places that I haven't currently planted in the western beds. There's a section in between ranunculus and the stock that pretty much got destroyed. I might be able to cover that entire section and just start over there so that can be weed free as the season goes on, and in the early spring when I go to plant, I'll at least have some weed-free sections in the western beds. All right, let's go over there and look. Yeah, see the breeze, it's beautiful, but it's gonna be challenging to put this stuff down. In fact, it's coming from the east. So I think what I'll do is I'll lay it starting with the east side, maybe grab a couple bricks, hold it down there and pull it this way. That way I'm not fighting the wind. The wind will be helping me. Okay, let's go look. Alrighty, how do you like my golf course? So just to update you, there's only a couple status that survived here. So I will be growing more status and putting more in this spot, and I'll hand weed. This hand weeding won't be hard at all. This bed, this first section isn't so bad. This is feverfew, it's looking great. And then we've got, some straw flower here, just a big long thing of straw flower. Actually, there's a little patch of straw flower, then some Amimagus and Daucus Orlea, and then more straw flower. That's all looking good. This is a patch of stock that somehow, for the most part, survived being picked over. I don't know why, but I'm happy. This row of snapdragons, most of them are there, but there's quite a few that are missing. So again, I will just start a whole bunch of snapdragons and in the early spring and plug them into the holes here, as well as setting up a few in the eastern beds. So then we've got Clarkia, which is doing okay, not looking great, and Cynoglossum. Also a few missing, not too bad. And then down here is Amimagus, which for the most part things don't seem to disturb. Then over here, this is all ranunculus, so that's fine. No, I'm sorry, this was stock, but you see there's not a single one left. Well, there's one. So what I think I'm gonna do, this whole area was stock, there's like one or two left. I think I'm going to just cover all of this, because from this line here all the way back is either empty or had stock in it. I think I'm just gonna cover it all up. Those grass weeds will die over the winter because they'll be in solid black. There'll be no light. And then from here up is ranunculus. I can hand weed that, that's not so bad. And then these two beds are all ranunculus. And some parts of the beds are not bad. Other parts are really, really densely green. Like back there. That's just crazy. So again, I'm just going to, this will be where I spend some time kind of with a book and relaxing and listening and just slowly pulling up this grass by the roots if I can. I know that that's a time waster, but honestly, this is the end of my season, and other than taking things apart at Fish Ranch, which I'm still working on, it's kind of a nice way to use a nice day. Lets me spend time here in the garden, and when it's not during the high season, and if it's not a rainy day, it's fine. So I will use some of the Bio360 in these beds, and then the rest is for down here. And it's interesting because, as far as I know, the irrigation has been working. Yes, looks like it has. It did not run this morning, it ran yesterday, but you know what? I think I'm gonna walk up to the irrigation and turn it on and just make sure, before I cover all these beds with Bio360, I wanna make sure that the irrigation is working. It should be. I mean, it's all connected the proper way, but I think, yeah, I will run up and make sure that's working before I cover these up, because once they're covered, I'll have no idea if it's working or not. And then I would hate to have it be completely broken, covered, and then the plants would get zero water because they won't even get rain. The bucket trap is working. There are two, sadly, dead mice in there, which I need to dump. And if you didn't see my short yesterday, the Ratnator, definitely works. At home, I woke up yesterday morning to seven rats in the ratinator. And so I packed them up and relocated them out to Fish Ranch on the edge of the forest where there is lots of cover, lots of forage for them, and no one lives there. No one lives anywhere near there. So their little territory, they will be fine. They won't be bothering anybody, and they should have plenty of food. So I then went home and reset that trap, and I'll just keep trapping them in my home garden and releasing to their new home so that eventually I won't be completely rodent free. That's pretty much impossible, but they should be under control enough that I'll be able to plant a garden and not have to worry about it completely vanishing overnight. Okay, irrigation is on and definitely running, which is good. Actually seems to be a little more strong in these beds than in these beds, but clearly there's enough irrigation because otherwise the grass wouldn't be growing so well. So, all right, I'm going to start up at this end and work my way down. I don't know if covering these beds is going to make it nicer for rodents or not. I don't know. We'll see. I'm anxious about that. I'll just keep putting traps out, but really it's not the mice that I'm noticing are an issue out here. It's the tunneling things. So gophers, moles, voles, and those are going to be a battle. You might be able to see way down there, there's actually a little tiny hole in the drip tubing. I'm not even going to bother capping that because the fabric will go over it and keep all that water in. So I'm not worried about that. The other nice thing about using this Bio360 is that it prevents erosion. So if we get massive runoff down this hill, unless it's going underground, which could happen, it's not going to take all the soil off of these beds because they'll be covered. So that's another kind of nice bonus. All right, I'm going to start laying this stuff down from the other end, and hopefully we can get a nice tight seal and then move on to the next one. right, so 5 beds done, and I did use the landscape staples. Couldn't get them totally in the ground in lots of places. The ground is just too hard. After the rains, I'll come through and try to hammer in some more. But you can see how much this blows around in just a light breeze. So it's challenging until you get plants fully growing in here. It tends to blow around a bit and then rip. So that's one of the things I don't enjoy about it. And as I was saying earlier, I got it as taut as I could get it, but there's still quite a distance here to the soil surface. So when I put the ranunculus in here, they're going to have to find their way through that hole up into the light, and not get stuck under the plastic, which tends to happen. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a pain, but not as much of a pain as weeding grass. So, and then I went ahead and covered this section of the bed, which did have the stock and now no longer has anything other than grass. So that'll just sit there until I'm ready to put something else in there in the early spring. I do still have 2 trays at home, the small trays, so 80, I think I said the other day, straw flower seedlings. So I could bring those out and pop those in somewhere in here, and I might do that, but I probably will do it back here because I want to have this western section here planted with the idea that these are beds that I can flip to summer stuff as they come done first. And then these other beds will be planted in early spring. Those will be the last ones to be flipped for summer so that I can have my succession planting going and keep it in alignment. So yeah, so we'll see. I'm a little worried about how much this is blowing. The wind is definitely picking up. I mean, we've got a storm coming in. So I wouldn't be surprised if I came by tomorrow and some of this is torn up because the wind lifts it and the holes from the staples tear. So this can be a real pain. I think I might go around and put a couple pieces of wood. I have wood lying around. I think I might put a couple pieces of wood on top to kind of hopefully keep it from blowing and tearing. Because I have seen this completely tear apart in high winds before it gets planted. But I'm starving. It is well past lunch. So I'm going to go home and eat. And then tomorrow I'm going to come out in between the rains and start hand weeding these beds of grasses. I might even direct sow a couple of status in this bed here because it can't hurt. So, all right. That's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much, you guys, for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.